Uh, Come on. Come on. Oh, heck. Seriously? You're going to do this to me right now? Oh, boy. All right. Well, we had a nice little introduction here, ready to go, and then all of a sudden, things go to heck in your handbasket. What are you going to say? Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this edition, the season premiere edition of the Animal Football Insider, coming at you live and direct from the confines of West Des Moines, Iowa, on a night in which, well, we are all excited about the football finally coming back, ready to put on a new year to see if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will repeat as Super Bowl champions, to see if what teams like the Miami Dolphins would do, the Florida Gators would do. We're just so excited, and we're just going to have a good time tonight. Make no mistake about it. And oh no, jeez. No, this can't be. Oh God, jeez. Ladies and gentlemen, we hear the song Phil Collins in the air tonight, and I hope you can hear it. It means it's time that we stop what we're doing and we head down to the sun, the fun, and vice capital of the world, Miami, Florida. With things like the Hurricanes, the Dolphins, Tua. Then there's a guy named Nando, who's unique all his own. And he's decided to make our way tonight to the Animal Football Insider. Nando, my friend, it is always a pleasure to have you on board. Good evening.
Saludos, my darling. I want
Nando.
to tell you it's very nice to be here, but you are interrupting the real good stuff right here. I have to take some time because you know that I am so Hollywood. I have to make sure that I am keeping up on everything that is going on back in the place where I used to do a lot of work. You know, it's Hollywood, and if you know something, that to be in Hollywood, it's not. It's better to look good than to feel good. You know.
Oh yes, it is, Nando. I know exactly what you mean. It's been so long since we talked. How you doing, my friend?
It is a very nice to be back all this time. Of course, we know that there was a long time when we used to be together. Not you and me, but me and Teddy.
Yes.
Our good buddy Teddy Webb. We used to always be with Teddy, and we used to talk about not just football and all these masculine things, you know, with guys with their things pointing out, you know, the big guys with the stuff and all that, and it'd be pecs they had. We talked about real things. We talked about things such as ladies. We talked about hot tubs. We talked about all the good times that you could have with ladies and hot tubs. You know that, don't you?
Oh my, we'll have to talk about that another time. Hey, listen, is Eddie around there with you? Where is he? Is he around?
Certainly is. Let me go get him if you would. I'll go ahead and bring him up to you. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Eddie. I appreciate.
Well, it's about time you wanted to talk to me instead of the other guy, for crying out loud. I mean, come on.
You know how it is. You know, come on. I mean, I can't have you on without your partner in crime. You know,
He's always good. He's always good.
There you go, Ed Berlin from down south in beautiful Tampa, beautiful Miami, Florida. Yes, he hasn't changed since the last time I saw him, and God knows we have to go back a long way for that, my friend. Make no mistake.
Yeah, the only thing is it's good is after all this time, it's still got all the hair, you know.
Oh, I know. Hey, what can I say? How you been? We haven't talked in a long time.
Been good. Everything is good. It's been an interesting time, to say the least.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in private business now, and I work with a lot of corporations, and I produce a lot of television.
Oh, nice.
around the world for a lot of companies right now. We produce a lot of virtual television, and I occasionally will dip back into sports. We've had a couple of shows called the Man in the Arena and Free for All, and
Nice.
Sports Pulse, and a few others that we do on the internet from time to time on my pages. And by the way, I'll just tell anybody that if you want to go ahead and join us, my pages on Facebook and on Twitter are both at Berliner Speaks. And you can always just look me up on Facebook, and you can go to our website at edberliner.com and find out a little bit more about what we're doing. See, that's the plug portion of the show. You got to get all that in there.
There you go.
You got to, and then we got to teach you. You got to have graphics up there. It said, "Hello, go to the website." But that's all right.
There you
But
go.
that's okay. And occasionally I will dip back into sports, but I will tell you that from the years past, when Ted and I and everybody always used to talk football with the Dolphins and the Canes and the Gators and all the others and the Bucs and such.
Yeah.
I'm much more of a hockey fan these days. In the last 10 years, I have
you know what?
I've become a much more 10 years. Well, let me see. It would go back to, well, actually, I've been a hockey fan my whole life, but the last 10, 15 years, I don't pay attention to you guys. Go away. Go away from me.
We're Stanley Cup champions. We're Stanley Cup champions. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So are we.
So there you go. There you go. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Now, the reason why that we have Ed Berliner on tonight is
because he couldn't find any other guests. It was easy.
Well,
it's what we in the business call an easy get.
Yeah, well, you're a hard one to get because I've been trying to get you for a long time, and we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But tonight,
sure.
here's what we want to do tonight. We have a lot of changes going on, especially here at the Animal Football Insider. I've got a new computer, new Wi-Fi. Hopefully you can see me better on Facebook. I have to go back and look at that a little bit later on in the show. But with the changes comes with some changes that we don't like to see it as always. And I'm going to zoom out of this for just a minute. And the reason why is because of this man right here that I want to bring up here right now. Let's see. That is Ted Webb. And Teddy has been the radio voice of Tampa Bay for a very, very long time now. For those that don't know about Teddy, he hosted a sports show back in the 80s called The Sports Huddle. As a matter of fact, that's how Eddie and I became such good friends. And Teddy was a legend in Tampa Bay. And he was the one that gave me the name of Animal, and it stuck with me. So tonight, in honor of Teddy, I'm gonna dedicate this show to him, and hopefully, Eddie, we can talk about some great memories, with Teddy and all. But it's nice that we can talk about Teddy here tonight and what he meant to us, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. Let us start our conversation tonight. We're talking about what's happening with the Miami Dolphins. Tua, I'm going to say Tua because I cannot.
Just say Tua. It's
Tua. I cannot pronounce.
Tagliavola.
Honest to goodness, I cannot pronounce his last name. I don't know why I can't do that. But anyhow, what's the story going on down there? This is what, his third year?
Second year. I mean, it's look, the kid's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I said that when they drafted him. The reason he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks is because he's got Brian Flores there. He's also got a solid coaching staff behind him. He's an exceptionally talented player. And for a guy like him to not succeed, it would be because of lousy coaching, which is not going to happen. Flores is the right guy. He's put the right people around him. He has put an offensive line around him, which is the most important thing. We always go past that. It's like there's this kid, Jesse Davis, who they've been trying at right tackle, and he's out. He's just done a terrible job. And they'll make the line better. He'll have some running support in Myles Gaskin, who I think has the potential to be a breakout player. But the thing that has always just astounded me, well, I shouldn't really say that. It's normal for all the years I've covered sports, but to listen to fans bitch and moan about Tua, and he's not going to be good enough, and he doesn't do this, and he doesn't do that. A lot of it was based on racism because there were a lot of fans who, quite frankly, weren't happy. And there's still a lot of people in the National Football League and a lot of fans who are not happy with black quarterbacks. And they initially and immediately take it upon themselves to say that they can't be great quarterbacks, which is absolute nonsense.
Yeah, yeah.
He came out of a winning program. And the difference is when you come from a program like Alabama, it's a matter, again, of how smart is the player and how good is the coaching. Because how many times have we seen players come out of systems, quarterbacks specifically, come out of systems where they don't train well in the National Football League because it's that mix, player smarts, coaching, and there's always something missing in the middle. Now, the player coming out of college is always going to be a smart kid, but then it behooves the coaching staff to be the type who can mold him and don't beat him up and don't destroy him in the first season or two. Flores hasn't done that. He brought him along slowly. And all of these knuckleheaded fans who scream, he shouldn't be playing, he needs to be playing. We don't need him now. We need him right away. Shut up.
I know.
Shut up. Because, look, I've been doing this now a long, long time, and I love the fans. But sometimes fans just got to learn to put a sock in it because you're not there every day. You don't see the players. Just because you all of a sudden read something on one of the pages that talks about the OTAs and you think you're a genius, you're not. Because there's a lot that goes on at the ground level of these teams and of these coaches and of these players. And what Flores has put together is a winning atmosphere.
Yeah.
The Dolphins are going to get better. Then again, they couldn't get much worse after a few years of being an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah, I know. And hey, I used to be like that, because back then I didn't know the groundwork of how these things operate, of how they have to bring along these quarterbacks slowly. And back in the day, all the talk was about Doug Williams this, Doug Williams that, and then who's going to be the next quarterback and everything. Like everybody knows, they think they know, but they really don't know, and it was unreal.
Here's something to remember, and I'll say this with all respect to fans. But I'm not hammering you guys. I'm not hammering everybody, but understand me, please.
No.
Unless, I don't care whether it's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, whatever sport you choose. Unless you're there every day, unless you're in the coaches' meeting rooms, unless you're covering it, like some of the really great reporters who spend time immersing themselves not only in the game, but in the individuals, the game plans, and who they are off and on the field. Unless you're that, you really only know about 30% of what goes on.
Exactly.
And that 30% is tempered by the fact that you're a fan, you love your team, and you want them to succeed, or you hate it when they fail because you don't look at it objectively. It's okay. Be a fan. Root, go crazy. Have as much fun as you want, but stop trying to be an expert. You're not. Frankly, I know more about football than you do. Because I've been doing it for 30, 40 years. I've been doing it since I was a kid. But it just comes with being there and covering the teams. That's all. So
and I know.
Have fun, but let the experts really tell you what's going on.
There you go. There you go. We talk about Ted Webb and all. Back in the 80s, when you would come on and do do the show, and we talked a lot about the Miami Dolphins and their lack of defense, because down in Miami back then there was hardly any D, and I'm sure you remember. I'm sure you remember all that.
Oh yeah.
They seem to have over the past couple of years improved their defense a little bit, but there's still questions about that. Tell us a little bit about their defense and what we can expect.
The defense is still up in the air. I mean, it really is. There's a lot of holes that have to be filled. And again, because I don't cover them on a daily basis,
right?
I'm not going to sit here and I'm going to tell you I know everything. I can tell you what I know from watching and talking, that it's going to be a good defense, but the Dolphins are going to have to outscore a lot of people this year, and that's what they're going to depend on with Tua.
With Tua, yeah.
And let's kind of get down to the real tax here. A good defense in the National Football League will surrender anywhere from 11 to 18 points a game. That's just the fact. That's the way it goes. And
Oh, yeah.
the way it goes is because there's talented players on the other team, and there are mistakes that are made, and there's great game plans that are made, and it's a 4-quarter game. So you kind of, as a team, you try and hone in on that. Can we score 2 touchdowns and a field goal? Can we score 3 touchdowns? Can we score more? The Dolphins, with the running game, they've got a lot of good receivers.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
really like this year.
I like Gaston. I
I
really like Gaston. I like him.
this kid, Lynn Bowden,
Yes.
who's out injured.
Yeah.
The fact that he's out injured, I thought he could be a real game changer this year. But the fact that he's out and there's still other guys up on the depth chart above him who can play a good game, who are good pros or good receivers, I think they can score 21, 24 points a game. And I think they can do it because Tua is a very good quarterback and he's very versatile at what he does. If you can do that, you can get rid of a lot of sins.
Yeah. By the way, if you watch it and want to comment in the chat room, please do. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, and so join us.
And we're always looking for wine pairings as well. So if you have a good cheese for wine, please do.
There you go. Let's talk a little bit about another team, Miami Hurricanes, with Manny Diaz and what's going on with them. That's. I don't know if Manny is the right person for the job down there. I could be wrong, but
who is? Who is?
Exactly. Yeah.
The Hurricanes went through some of these ridiculous times when they were putting legacies in there. Randy Shannon was a complete disaster. And what happens to a lot of programs is they're always looking for the star. And they went off campus, they went away from legacies. They tried everything they possibly could, but the problem with it is they weren't creating a winning culture. Now, Manny has a winning culture, but is his temperament going to be the style that can keep that team going in what is becoming a very competitive conference? There's something else that people need to understand. See, maybe it's because I've just been around so long, but I don't focus a lot on individual players anymore. I focus on cultures and I focus on teams. And what I've seen, and what I want to point out is what I've seen is we still have a cadre of University of Miami fans who believe that this is 1985 and that this is the Jimmy Johnson years.
Yeah.
Guess what? You can't recruit from that anymore because kids have a million places to go now. And they have for the last 15 years. Yeah. Miami is no longer the shining star on the hill where everybody wants to come play football. It's just because they have a lot of competition. I'm not saying that they're not good. But look, Florida has had its woes, its problems, and they've dropped off. Florida State at some time has become that raging dumpster fire because you have players who used to go to these big three programs now have UCF, USF, FAU, FIU. They have other places that they can go play, and they can play more. Because with these football players in college, it's all about how many snaps can I get? And if I'm going to be buried third deep on the chart at Miami, I'll bet you, this is what they think, it's not always the case, but they'll say, I can go to FAU and I can really make some noise there because I can catch more touchdowns. I can make more tackles. I can make myself more valuable if I want to go to the NFL. That's just the way things happen these days.
It's a bigger market. That's what's happening.
Much bigger market.
There's a much
and that's
bigger
just Florida schools.
Exactly. I mean, if you really stop and think about it, I mean, there's so many different avenues that these kids can go down. It's unbelievable. And now Miami, who was once the dominance of the 80s and 90s, now trying to find its identity, but I don't think it's one identity. I don't think it's an identity that they want to have from the past, but I don't know. There may be.
Well, but see, that's part of the problem. You've got the fan base and the alumni base who's screaming, we've got to get back to the old ways. No, you don't. The old ways won't work anymore. Again, this is not the 80s and the 90s. No, this is 2021. And you have to build on the players that you have available now. Florida is still one of the best states in the country for high school talent. I have a friend of mine, Larry Bluestein. And if you look up Larry Bluestein on Facebook or on Twitter, Blue's got a hundred places where he talks about great football players, but he knows every single high school football player in the state of Florida, bar none.
Yeah.
He will tell you where the best talent is. These kids no longer look to stay home all the
No.
time.
No.
The days of Howard Schnellenberger in the state of Miami, God love him, I love that man so much. He was such
Oh
a good
yeah.
friend, are gone. And now you're going to get to a point where Miami is an average team. They're an average college football program.
Mm-hmm.
And in many ways, so are the Gators. They're just a little bit above average. And Florida State's a little bit below average.
Yeah.
So everybody is fighting that battle of finding that great talent and the breakout. And I just don't think Miami's got that breakout talent now. Can they have it in a couple of years? Sure. It's a beautiful thing about college football. It can turn around in 2 seasons
Yeah.
if you get the right kids in high school. And now with the NIL, you're going to have to.
We were going to talk about that. Yeah,
You're going to have to make sure that you're out there and you're providing the money-making possibilities for these players. Because if you're not, players will go somewhere else. Right
transfer. Hey, look, also transfer portal. Dan Mullen is trying to get a lot of these kids to come to Florida, but he's getting a lot of his good talent through the transfer portal, which is helping him out a lot. So that needs to be said for that. So
well, that's another thing too. I mean, you bring up a good point. The transfer portal has changed everything because remember there was a time, some people won't remember this. There was a time when you couldn't change football programs in a year. You had to sit out a season.
Sit out a year, exactly.
You don't have to do that anymore. Now with the portal and the way things work, and the NCAA is a complete joke, and the way the NIL is going to run things now, and everybody's getting together in super conferences, and it's all about the big buck. And now you're just going to see, sooner or later, we are going to see somebody's going to go to the courts one day, and it's going to happen, where you're going to see a player who's going to start his season with the University of Florida. The team will suck after 5 games, and he will look to make a transfer and go to Ohio State because they want him and they'll be able to get him immediately. Rest assured it's going to happen. Rest assured the courts won't be able to stop it because scholarships are worth nothing these days, and you are going to get to the point where there's going to be professional college football. We're there now, but we haven't quite reached it to the point where you get a trade. Someday, I actually believe you're going to see a scenario where the University of Miami is going to announce a 3-player trade with the University of Florida or with Southern Cal or with Colorado. And they're going to trade players. If they're being paid, why not? Because it will happen. Actually, that might be the best thing that could ever happen to college football and stop this nonsense because it hasn't been an amateur sport in 30 years.
Yeah. And talk about teams that is on the rise. How about USF and their new head coach Jeff Scott? Talk about bringing a great culture in that program. I mean, he's doing a lot of great things.
I'm going to let you nail on USF because I'll be again. I'm the one always honest. I have not covered USF. I have not looked at a lot of the out of state teams.
There you go.
How good they're going to be.
Hey, let's talk real quick about a big announcement.
Hockey? Okay, good. Hey, we're going to talk hockey. No, just kidding.
Okay. There was a big announcement. First of all, let's talk about something that happened 3 weeks ago, when the SEC announced that Oklahoma and another team were going to be entering the SEC. Now there's a big press conference that happened a couple of days ago in which the ACC and the Pac-10 were merging into a conference. And everything I'm hearing that this press conference was nothing more than just a joke.
Well, but you have to understand a couple things. The ACC, with all of its wonderful intent, was never going to be a powerhouse conference at any stretch of the imagination.
No.
The SEC still rules in this part of the country. You have, the Big Ten that has made a mess of itself over the years. The Pac-12, what is it now? Pac-8, Pac-10, Pac-12, Pac-24.
Okay, I know.
No, I'm just saying because it's what it is.
I know. It's just
they're
crazy.
Another disaster. This is all run by television money. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Television money from CBS, NBC, ESPN. Local monies, local dollars that are garnered in these local regional contracts. That's what runs it. And in order to get the money, the sponsors are now being pooled into these conferences. So you have the major conferences are taking up anywhere from 60, 70, 80% of the overall ad revenue. And the other conferences are out there going, well, we can't make it without it. Well, but why should we come to you? Because we get a tremendous deal over here and we got eyeballs all across the country. Why don't you merge?
I know.
Shocker.
It's just a shocker. I know.
Because let's remember, the NCAA hasn't run college football for 20 years. It's all the conferences. That's where the power is. So if the conference says we're going to make the move, the NCAA is powerless. There is a thinking. There's a thinking from friends of mine who have we talk all the time on college football that one of these days, sooner or later, college football is going to be broken up into 4 conferences. That's it.
Yes, that's 4. What I'm hearing too.
That's where it's going to start. It's going to Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, or Southwest, Southeast. Right. It's going to be you're going to split the country down the middle. You're going to split it in 4.
Yep.
And you're going to have 4 different places, Pacific Northwest, whatever it is, and that's going to then start the playoffs, a different playoff system, a different wild card system. You could have anywhere from 16 teams to 8 teams to 4 teams to 2, and that'll break everything down. The money will be incredible because by that point there will be more pay-per-view than ever before. Look, I was talking to some friends of mine today who are huge Gator fans. I mean, these are guys who live and die by what goes on in Gainesville. Both of them said, look, I'm going to go up and see them play Tennessee this year, and I'll go up for the cocktail party, but screw the rest of it. I'm going to stay home. I'm going to pay my money. I'm going to have my cocktails next to me. I'm going to have food. I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to pay for the game. Okay. We're going to get to a point, and we're already at a point where it's not that big a deal to go to the game.
Yeah,
for a lot of people. And a lot of people can't go to the game because they've been priced out by the stupid, insane, insulting prices to go see a sporting event. That's what fans need to focus on.
I know. I'm going to Missouri later on this year to see these boys behind me, the boys in blue, Florida Gators. Going to see them. I go every 2 years, and it's a great time. And but I get what you mean. We only I know you only have a few minutes left, and this is so much fun.
I'll give you a couple more. Look, if it depends, if we got a little time, I'm enjoying this, so I'll give you a couple more. My kids will wait.
All right, let the kids wait, and the reason why, the reason behind that obviously is we lost a very good friend earlier this year, and. It wasn't due to COVID. I don't think. I forget what it was, but it wasn't due to COVID. But Ted Webb, he had major health complications for quite a long time, and he stepped down from News Radio 970 WFLA after being there for so long. You were part of a sports show called The Sports Huddle. We have some great memories. Of course, I'll still never forget the time that I couldn't pay for the pizza. Of course, if you remember that so well. For those that don't know, Eddie came into town for his final show, and Teddy forced me to make him pay for the pizza, but I kind of didn't have enough money on me, and well. I don't know. If we want to go there, but
you don't have to. It was just a fun. I knew what Ted was doing.
But it was so much fun. That's what Teddy was all about. He loved to have fun. Screw it whether you agreed or disagree with him on certain things. There was something about Teddy that you really loved. Talk about a couple of things that you remember most about him. A memory that you have of him. It's just.
Oh, I've got so many memories of Ted, but a lot of them are going to stay private because they were private moments with he and I. We became very good friends. We constantly stayed in touch, and I would always come over to Tampa and come on the show or see him after the show or go to his home and be with his family and be with him there. I still have somewhere. I've not been able to find my fart bag. Which I have, and if people who spend time with Ted, he had a piece of plastic.
Yes.
With that, it fits in the palm of your hand, and you would squeeze it, and if you had it just right, it was the perfect fart noise.
He did that to me. He
Teddy
did that
loved
to
that.
me, Eddie. He
He
did
had
that to
so
me.
much fun with that when we went
He
out
did,
and we go to places.
but
But
but but
that's
you know what? I couldn't. He did that to me, and every time we would see each other, even when I was a guest on the show, he would pull it out and do it. I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. But then it took a minute to figure out what the heck he had done. That was Teddy.
he
That's what he
was
was all about.
he was mischievous. He was intelligent. He was an absolute radio star in
Mm-hmm.
that there are so few people who understand what makes good radio, and so few now. There are so few. I
I know.
barely listen to radio these
Me
days simply
too.
because it's most of it is insulting. But
Yes.
Ted was intelligent. He talked to people. He didn't talk at them. He talked to them.
Yes, he
And
did.
people felt as if they knew him because Ted would let you into his private life, to his personal thoughts. And when he went off on a rant, sports or news, it was intelligent. You didn't have to agree with him.
No.
But all Ted wanted to do was make you think, and he wanted you to have fun. And the times that we spent in radio together were some of the best times of my life,
Oh yeah.
where we would sit across from each other and he would wink and he'd nod and he'd give me the eye and he'd give me little cues and
Yeah.
we'd be doing all this to get ready. And the electricity between us was something you can't fake. And just there were so many times. I mean, just but the years doing Nando and doing the voices on his show, and
That was okay. That
it
that
it
that
that's what got us started. That's what kind of got us started when he needed somebody in Miami to talk about the Dolphins, and I got a call and said, "Would you come on Ted's show?" And I said, "Sure. I know who Ted Webb is." And that just started a lifelong friendship where we did that for many, many, many years. And I had the chance to talk to him. Um, I knew that Ted wasn't well, and people close to him, we knew what was happening. And I picked up the phone one day. I sat right here at this desk, right in the studio, and I dialed his number just out of the blue. And he picked up, and which was kind of odd because Ted didn't usually answer his phone a lot. He let it go to voicemail. And when I said hello, and because he didn't, he said, "Who is this?" And I gave him Fernando. And you could tell that he started to laugh and he was crying. And within a couple of minutes, we were both crying.
yeah.
And we didn't talk a lot of specifics. It was just a time to talk about our relationship, our friendship, our family, who he was. And I knew that this was the last time I was ever going to talk to him.
Mm.
And Ted knew it as well. So we said some things to each other that needed to be said that were very personal and I'll never share,
No,
but
you
because
don't
they were
have to.
just between us.
Yeah,
And
that's what it should be.
when I heard that he passed, when I heard he passed, I walked out of my office and walked outside and just cried like a little boy,
Yeah.
um, like I'm doing right now. And I must have cried for 10 minutes, and I yelled and I screamed and I hollered at God, and and then at the end of it I said, you've got a beautiful man, and
Yes, he does.
I only hope that someday I get to see him again and we have some fun again, because damn it, we need a lot more. I knew this was going to happen. We need a lot more Ted
Um,
Webbs in the world, and we
yeah, we
need to
do.
have that fun.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I no one will ever quite touch his brilliance and his humanity. And I just feel lucky that I knew him for a short period of time.
And for Teddy, I think, and for Teddy, I think what he did. I mean, and you were right. I mean that's what he did. He brought a legacy among himself, and Teddy. I think for Teddy, he and everything you said about him, his personal life and all that. I think we all know about. But Teddy also left a legacy in Tampa Bay. I mean, he became the gold standard for what sports radio should be about. I think.
Well, for radio.
I mean, for
Now,
radio,
for
yeah.
sports radio, yes. Nobody in Tampa to
No,
this
but
day can touch
no,
Ted for
no,
what he did on the air.
no.
And then when he made the switch to news, he set a new standard.
Yeah.
The thing about Ted was he was a gruff son of a bitch sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
but to his friends, he extended every courtesy. He loved people genuinely. And when you got on the air with him, you knew you were getting Ted. You knew you were getting him. He didn't put on an air, and he was friendly to everybody that was friendly to him.
Yeah.
Ted, like everybody else, we all had our people that we didn't get along with, but to the audience, he was their friend, and that is impossible to do nowadays in radio. There is not one person in radio that has that sort of connection right now that Ted had and that we had when I was lucky enough to be on the air with him.
Yeah, and it's my good friend Corey Bruce, who is a great hockey fan. Comment says, Ed, you have a great radio voice.
Thank you, Corey. I have a great face for radio.
Yeah, yeah. He just logged on, so maybe you can do a little bit of Fernando before we go here in just a minute. But I'll tell you one thing about Teddy and I is that I was a diehard. If you remember me, I was a diehard Buck fan back then, and I really loved the Bucks. And he used to just hammer about the ownership, about not signing Doug Williams and all. And I mean, he would just go at me hard day in and day out, trying to get me to bend, but I never would do that. I would just.
Well, but that was his shtick. He wanted to see how far you'd go.
Exactly.
Pushed and pushed.
Because he would push it. But I
knew you weren't going to give up the Bucks. He knew you weren't going to give them up. He just wanted to see how far you'd go and how much fun he could have.
No, I never was. I never was going to do that. But you know what? He one thing I'll say about Teddy, he always respected the opinions of others.
Yes.
He never. I know Teddy was, and I'm not trying to get into politics and of things, but I know Teddy was conservative, but he always respected the other side, and that's what I love so much about Teddy.
Well,
I agree with him, but he had respect for the other side.
But that's the difference in talk radio now.
I know.
Especially sports talk radio. It's become hateful, spiteful. I know more than you. Screw you. You suck. You don't know what you're talking about. When at the time when Ted and I came up in radio, Ted was doing WFLA, and I was doing WIOD in Miami, and then
that's right. I do WIOD. That's right.
And because I was part of the group that helped to found the sports talk version of WQAM, we had conversations with people. We talked to them. Sure, we argued, and we didn't agree with what everybody said, but we didn't demean them. We didn't give them an FU. We didn't threaten them. We didn't come off as if we were high-horsed. Sure, but there were histrionics and there was acting that was involved. But at the same time, we wanted to have that conversation with people. And it was years later that I syndicated a show on my own on the Prime Radio Network called The Press Box, which to this day remains the first radio show that ever did interviews only. We never took phone calls. And the reason why was at an era when phone calls were becoming nasty. So I said, let's just talk to people. Let's talk to the writers. We had a lot of writers on. We had the coaches on. We had the athletes on. I had Ted on who came on. And we had really good conversations to where we didn't piss on each other. And the unfortunate thing is we've gone past that. There is no place in terrestrial radio now where you can have that sort of a conversation without some clown on the other side who wants to prove that he or she is better than you. You can have just a good conversation, and that's what talk radio was, and that's what Ted and I tried to navigate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but he was a master at.
What you're saying here is I agree with you. Everything you're saying now. I gotta ask you this: when I brought you on earlier tonight, did I do that word for word? Did that bring back memories when I was introducing you and all? Did you think that was going to happen?
Which the Nando?
The whole introduction, the playing of the song in the air tonight. The Phil Collins thing.
I figured you'd do something like that.
You know, but see, I was doing that word for word because that's what I love so much about Teddy. I mean, you were my favorite portion of the show. I would just want I tune into the show just to listen to you and your excellent reporting and what you brought to the table.
We had
Okay,
fun. We had
and
fun.
and it was fantastic, especially with all the Fernando talk. You know, all the talk about the Miami Heat fence. You know,
See, and
all
this
that
is the thing,
conversation.
I've said this before, and I want to say this while we're here, Animal. And I don't know who's listening to the show, but I have said this before publicly, and I will say it again. I challenge the owners of radio stations, terrestrial radio stations. Um, may I speak real freely?
Sure, go ahead, please.
Okay, cut the bullshit with the syndicated talk shows that are talking about the same nonsense over and over again. Have local radio.
Yeah,
Take
yeah, I
again,
agree with that.
take
I
a
agree with
show.
that. I
Take
agree with that.
put a person in Miami, put a person in Tampa, put a person in Orlando and or Jacksonville, and put two or three of them together and have conversations and have them talk about things in Florida and national, but stop polluting the airwaves with
With
the
national,
same
I
national
agree.
dreck that
I
we
you
get
know
all the time and go local again. And I'll tell you what, I'll say this out loud to any owner of a station that wants to do it. I'll put it together for you.
there you
I'll
go.
come in and I'll run it for you, and I'll be your Miami guy, and I'll do it for nothing just to
There
get
you
this
go.
damn thing started because
There
it's
you go.
about time that the people who listen to terrestrial radio started to get decent radio programming again instead of the same nonsense they can get down the street.
One of the things I hate about 620 WDAE is that they went away. They would do like a morning local show and they go syndication with like Jim Rome and not come back till 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I hate syndicated talk radio. I mean, because it has nothing to do with your local sports, it has nothing to do with your local news, et cetera, et cetera. And you're right. I mean, I wish they do a lot of more local sports, but I also understand the financial impact from the radio
No, no,
side
no,
is
I'm
the
sorry.
business.
Wait a minute.
But, but, you're, but, but you're right.
The financial impact side of this is lazy because
Exactly.
what happens is you have conglomerates that own
Hmm.
these stations.
Yep.
For the most part, they're owned by massive companies.
Yep.
They have excellent salespeople. They have excellent marketers. They've got excellent apps for the phones. They've got a way to sell this. But
You
they get
don't like
lazy because they cut out the sales and they cut out the marketing people, put them out there on the streets, give them a product to sell, give them something where they can actually talk to the local audience and stop using the same syndicated stuff over and over again. Yes, guess what? For the first couple of years, if somebody resurrected this, they wouldn't make a tremendous amount of money. They'd have to spend some money. But at the end, I guarantee that they would be back and you would have people who would listen again.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and hopefully, people are going to start listening, getting back to doing that. So I totally agree with you. Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, uh,
Congratulations.
Tampa Bay Lightning, hockey champion.
Congratulations.
The Rays are in first place right now in baseball. You gotta love it. And sports and now you should know that I'm not in Tampa anymore. I live in Des Moines, Iowa now, and I'm married and have a beautiful wife and all. So
Out of the middle of nowhere.
huh? No,
That's okay, man. Follow your team. I don't live in Boston yet. I follow the Bruins. I live and die with my hockey team.
But there you go, and that's all you can do. And as we get ready to close this out here,
Yep. I know I got to go because I just heard my phone ring in the background. I know that I'm being called.
okay, buddy. Well, as we close it out, thank you very much for joining me.
I want to tell you something, Joe.
Yes, darling.
And I mean this from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you, darling.
No, Joe, look. There's an unwritten rule in showbiz, okay?
There you go.
You don't try to be funny. Don't try to be funny like the comic. The comics are professionals, Joe. Don't do that. You sit in the audience and they go by. It's okay. Leave it to the pros. So let me tell you that despite everything and all this and the living in Iowa, which is very nice, they have hot tubs in Iowa.
You look marvelous. You do. You look marvelous, Joe. You do. And remember, it's always better to look good
There you go.
than to say it, Joe. It's better to look good than to
feel good.
Thank you very much. Look at that. See that, Joe? It's better to look good than to feel good, Joe.
There you go.
Well done.
Eddie, thank you so much. And listen, you ever want to come back on and join me? I appreciate that. Thank you, my
Joe,
friend.
anytime, man. Everybody, please be safe, everybody. Stay healthy. Care for yourself. Care for your family. Squeeze your puppy dogs. And rock on, true believers.
Thank you, Eddie. God bless you, man.
Take care.
Thank you so very much. That is Ed Berlander from down south in Tampa, Florida. God, he is such a great guy. I appreciate him coming on tonight and spending a lot of time talking about Ted Webb, talking about a lot what's going on down in Miami. It's just great and all. So that's just awesome. And yes, the race, first place in baseball right now, have a great chance to go a long way. Now for this team behind me, the Buccaneers, if I can point my finger in the right direction. See, I'm looking at my computer. Let's see. No, that way. Yep, that way. Yep, that one. Okay. The screen over there, or this one to my right, the animal. Buccaneers. Now, as we get into a conversation about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they will finish up on the road against the Houston Titans. And then after that, they'll have a week off as they prepare for the big Thursday night encounter when they take on the Dallas Cowboys to kick off Thursday night football. Nothing much has changed with this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. As a matter of fact, what's amazing about this team for this season is that all the starters are back, and it's what's amazing about general manager Light, and I'm going to say Bruce Light, but that name skips me. Oh, thanks, Vince, for that. Vince Gerasi joining me tonight, along with Corey Bruce, Carl McGraw-Long, David Benito, and of course Adam Neff. Thanks for joining me, guys, and for the season for me. Jason Light, that's who I was talking about. Jason Light, the general manager of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Here's the thing about the Buccaneers. They brought every single player back for 2022. Okay, 2021-22. It's very rare that an ownership can do that, to bring back all the players they have. And now they have another run for a championship. But there's some hurdles that's going to come along the way, and we know all about that. Now, there's a battle that's going on right now for the third quarterback slot, and that's between Blaine Gabbert and also another guy by the name of Kyle Trask. Now you think to yourself, Kyle Trask, that name sounds awfully familiar. Well, if you know anything about these guys right there, Florida Gators, right there, quarterback for the Florida Gators. He got drafted in the second round by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And this kid has been playing lights out during the preseason. Many project him to be the third string quarterback on this team, with the eventual position of him taking over the second string behind Tom Brady. Of course, Tom Brady, he's gonna be the one that's going to be the quarterback. And so now what you're seeing is the transformation of the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because now once they Kyle Trask gets his feet implanted into the quarterback system, expect him to have a lot of plays during the year. In fact, I'm gonna make this prediction. I'm gonna make this prediction. I'm gonna bet you right. I'm gonna make this prediction by week 7. Kyle Trask will be implemented as the second string quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's my prediction. You heard it here in the season premiere edition of the Animal Football Insider. Kyle Trask to become the new GM, the second string quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the running backs are looking good. Wide receivers pretty much all set. Um, what? 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 Brady will get flat around week 12? Now you got me set off. Okay. There's no way that they're going to be flat by week 12. There's no way. Because you got to remember something here. They have a bye in week 9. Okay, they have a bye in week 9, so that means basically that they're going to play the first half of the season straight. They take week 9 off, and then they'll play the second half. And let's remember one other thing too: they have 17 weeks, people. This is going to be actually 18 weeks, but they're going to take a couple of byes. But basically, an 18-week schedule, one extra regular season game to take away from the preseason game, which I think is fine. I think 3 preseason games is probably perfect. It's what you want to have. Okay, I was not in favor of 4. I think 3 games, preseason games, is good enough for the NFL and what they're doing now. Where do I think the Buccaneers are going to go? Are they going to win the Super Bowl? That's going to be completely up to them. They're the ones that they're going to have to decide how far they want to go in all this. My worst fear that I have about all this is that I fear a week 1, something major happening in week 1. Not necessarily to Tom Brady. I just get the feeling that we're going to experience a major injury in week 1. I don't know why, but it's just something that I feel it's going to happen. We're going to keep an eye on that and keep our eye as they go through the process. The game Saturday night against the Titans, and then after that they'll cut it down and then get ready for week 1, which ironically I believe is a week from tonight, isn't it? Or is it 2 weeks from tonight? Yeah, it's 2 weeks from tonight. Excuse me, it'll be week 1 of the National Football League when the Buccaneers host the Dallas Cowboys. And the Buccaneers going to fly that banner, and Dak Prescott is coming into town. Did you see the major contract that he got? Whoa, Nelly! I mean that was huge. Talk about some other things that are going on right now. The Florida Gators, they've been practicing, they've been hitting. They're now starting to relax a little bit and getting ready for their game 1 week from this coming Saturday when college football goes into week 2. Now it gets underway this weekend. And there's a couple of good, interesting games. And we'll start on Saturday with Nebraska at Illinois. Fox kicks it off. Let's see, UConn Fresno State, Hawaii at UCLA. That would be an interesting game to see how that goes. Then Wednesday, September 1st, UAB will be playing against Deion Sanders' team, Jacksonville State. Now, what's interesting about that is that because of COVID, some of the conferences did not play during the regular season last year. They played during the spring. Jacksonville State was one of those teams that played during the spring. So it's going to be interesting with this short turnaround to see how well teams like Jacksonville State will do. And that's going to be something to keep our eye on. A full slate of games a week from tonight, headlined by Boise State at UCF, South Florida at NC State. That's going to be a game that'll be on the ACC network. Ohio State's going to be playing a rare Thursday night game against Minnesota. Let's see here. Southern Utah at Arizona State. There's games on Friday night, but we'll talk about all that next week. But there's going to be some college football games this weekend. Now, we got just a couple of minutes here before we sign off here. I want to see if the people are commenting on anything that's in the chat room as we get ready to wrap up this premiere edition of the Animal Football Insider. Now, one other thing, if you're in the Des Moines area, the Indoor Football League has their playoffs that are going on right now. It's going to be the first round. The Iowa Barnstormers, who had a number 4 seed, they're going to be taking on the Duke City Gladiators. That is a home game, Saturday night, 7 p.m. at Wells Fargo Arena. Insider will be there live with with some analysis, some pregame stuff. We were going to do some pregame stuff tonight, but we figured, what the heck? This is more important here to celebrate Ted Webb and his wonderful life. And I thank so much for Ed Berliner for joining me tonight and being a part of this. Next week we'll be back on 7:30 for that show, and we'll have a good time. We don't have any guests lined up yet. I'm hoping to get Graham Hall to come on with us, talk more about the Florida Gators. Maybe get James Buck Wilson to talk a little bit about the Buccaneers and the final game of the preseason. It's now everybody is going to have a week off and then get ready for the big NFL game. And that's going to be interesting because now everybody, here's one thing that's interesting that nobody tends to realize is that by these teams having the final preseason game this weekend, they get a week off. In some cases, they're going to get 2 weeks off to get ready for the season opener for Thursday and Sunday. Remember they kick it off on September 9th and Raymond James Stadium. So nearly 2 weeks of non-football action from the NFL. But of course, there'll be college football, and of course, Indoor Football League will be having their playoffs and everything. As I check and go about on Twitter, seeing if there's anything that is going on right now, just to catch anything that's going on. USF has announced that Cade Fortin of South Florida is going to be their starting quarterback. Let's see here. Some other news, if I can follow, a little bit talk about Alabama and all. And here's something that's very interesting. Nebraska head coach Scott Frost is in a little bit of hot water with the NCAA. Apparently there's some news that's going on about that, and I'm going to pull that up real quick. Was not expecting to talk about Scott Frost at all, but let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, there's an investigation. Let's see. The story has it that improper use of analysts and consultants during practices and games. So this is like something of a minor infraction. A lot of times the NCAA limits who people can talk to during the course of the year, even with the players. They're only allowed to have so much time to have contact with the players, even during the course of the year, which includes practices, film room hours, and even during the games. But according to reports that are out there, Nebraska have been violating those rules. So they're under investigation by the NCAA. Is it a major infraction? Depends on how you want to look at it. But I don't think a lot's going to come out of this. But stay tuned on that front. That might get very interesting as well. Let's see here. I'm going to try and pull something up here and see if I can do this right here. Let's see here. All right, come on. All right, so let's see here. Okay.
Thank you for watching Animal Football
That's
Insider.
not what I wanted to do.
Sure to
But
join
anyways,
us every
we're done for the
Thursday
night.
here
Have a great
on
weekend,
Facebook Live.
and we'll see you next week. That is if I can pull this back up again. But nevertheless, we'll see you next weekend, next Thursday night. Hopefully we have guests, and we'll keep your eyes on Facebook. We'll talk about that. Until then, y'all make it a good week, and God bless everybody.
Thank you for watching Animal Football Insider. Be sure to join us every Thursday night here on Facebook Live.
See you later. All right, I'm trying to close this out. Okay, sorry. Here we go. Y'all have a good one. Goodbye. Thank you for joining me.